Okay, so we have one more story. Tim Magill, come on down.
So the doc said this horse is going blind. And that was a gut punch to both me and my wife because we were looking at this horse for my 8-year-old daughter. But she had already kind of invaded our hearts, and so we were thinking about it. She was a leopard Appaloosa. Her name was Sue, and she was only about 14 hands high. So if you haven't been around horses much, that means that she's about my height. She had a snowy white coat that was dappled very delicately with little red spots. That's a leopard Appaloosa. She came to us a little bit by accident. She was from a family that just really couldn't afford her anymore, so she came to us a little bit underweight and ill cared for, but she just had an amazing disposition and offered trust and just asked for trust in return. The doc, when we took her over to get her vet check before we were going to buy her, was poking and prodding her and pulling on her limbs to test to see if she had arthritis. She was about 22, and that's a little older for a horse, particularly if you're thinking about that for an 8-year-old kid. The doc stepped away with kind of a wry smile, and he looked at me and said, "I got to tell you, this horse has got the sweetest disposition. This horse has got great feet. She's got no arthritis. She's got great wind." In other words, she had good lungs. But she's going to go blind. Might not happen 6 weeks. Might not happen 6 months. Might be 6 years. But it's going to happen, Tim, so you got to know. She's going to go blind, and she's 22 years old. We bought her anyway. My daughter, I tell you, that horse, she was short and delicate looking, but she could pack a load all day long, and sure enough, she packed my daughter through countless miles in the round pen and through countless hours and all kinds of different lessons. And the two of them built that kind of bond that only an 8-year-old girl can build with a horse. But sure enough, at some point, darkness started to close in on her, and sure enough, she went blind. My daughter moved on to other horses because she had a rodeo career in front of her, and we had to idle Sue, that leopard Appaloosa, into a stall. Pretty good sized stall, had a nice turnout, so she could move around quite a bit. She took to her blindness with a grace that no human would have. And one of the things that was amazing about her is she would, when we put her into that pen, she would go around and touch the metal rails all the way around on the fence so she'd know where she was. And once she got that spatial awareness, I'm here to tell you, she could book it from one side to the other and pull up right before she hit that fence. So she had an amazing spatial awareness and did fine. Never bashed into the fence, never bashed into her water trough, never bashed into her feed bucket, nothing. But still, we were wondering, what are we going to do with her? My friends would tell her, Tim, I know you love that horse, but you got to put her down. It's not fair to keep a blind horse in a stall all the time, and you sure as hell can't ride her. Got on her anyway. Before I got on her, we started building a relationship, and in the evenings, before I went to bed, I'd come up to check on her, and I'd open the gate, and she'd hear that creak and kind of pat her way over to me because she'd know I'd be there. And just like the fence, she'd come up and just bump me gently with her nose. I'd stand there for long enough, and she'd bump me up and down my body, all the way from, shouldn't do this with a horse, but she'd bump me on my face, go down my chest, all the way down to my toes. Every once in a while, she'd breathe in a big breath as she smelled my essence, kind of let it out with a... But I just loved that time. I'd stand there and just let my soul be read by Braille. That horse knew more about me in those moments than any of my friends did over a lifetime. So you better believe it. She offered trust and just asked for trust in return. So I got on her, much to the chagrin of my friends who were better riders. Our first kind of couple of trips out, we were reluctant and we had to kind of learn each other a little bit. I'd be watching the ground really carefully. I had to be her lens to see the world, and I knew that. But pretty quick we got to understand each other, and she adopted kind of a high step and gait to step over rocks that she knew were out there but just couldn't see. We'd go up an embankment, and as we were to do so, I'd stop her and I'd say, up. And she was so smart that when she heard me say up, and if I said up, 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 she knew to pick up those front legs, and we were going to go up an embankment. And if we're going to go down, I'd say down. And she'd lift put all that weight back on our haunches, and then feel out in front of her with those front feet. So we would go up and down steep embankments that other riders wouldn't do with a sighted horse. One of our favorite rides, we'd go up about 20, 30 miles east of here. Ash Creek goes up north towards Big Mesa, and just a beautiful ride underneath the cottonwoods and the sycamores, and she could feel that coolness. It was one of her favorite rides, certainly mine. Before you get to Big Mesa, you take a left going northwest above Ash Creek, and it's Osborne Wash. And Osborne's Wash is wonderful because it's got this sandy stretch. It's just like a beach. Doesn't have any rocks, no nothing. And so we'd been over that territory hundreds of times, and she could feel that sand underneath her feet, and she knew that we'd have about a half mile to a mile stretch. There'd be no rocks. There were no potholes. This is nice and smooth, Tim. So she'd be hopping all over the place. She'd be bunny hopping, and she'd be rearing up on me. I'd have to reach down, pull up, whoa, kind of pet her easy on her neck, say, "No, we got to stay at a walk, girl." Well, she was having none of it, and I swear to you, I think we had a conversation. Most of her side of it was something like this: I have given you trust, and you haven't returned that. Haven't you learned a damn thing about our time together? And likewise, what the hell good is it to pack a perfectly sighted human on your back if you can't run? Well, we had this argument a few times, and one day she won. We were bouncing all over the place, and I'm like, okay, I give up. I reached down, put the reins in front of me, and I reached down and whispered in her ear, "Okay, girl, let's fly." Started off as a nice, easy trot, kind of just a little bit of a jog, but turned into a lope pretty quick, and all of a sudden we were on a dead run. I was terrified. I was looking down at the ground, looking for that thing that was going to plunge us to the death that my friends all predicted was going to happen. But pretty quick, that fear turned to joy. Because I'm here to tell you, this was running like nothing I'd ever experienced before. This was not running out of fear or running out of obligation like I'd felt with other horses. This was running for running's sake. It wasn't running. It was flying. Pretty quick, the sand kind of gave way to gravel, and she could feel that under her feet. So she put her weight back in her haunches, and I did the same thing. I put my butt back into the saddle a little bit. Pretty quick, we're just to a trot and then an easy walk. It was a glider coming in for a perfect landing. So we went out and we had these private flights frequently, but I never told my friends about them. They didn't understand. They never would, never will. I guess they're going to learn now. So Sue's been gone for about 20 years now, and I think about her every day, and I miss her dearly. I hope I gave her a good life. When this life is done with me, I pray she's there. And I pray she'll have her sight back. And if she does, I'll jump on her back and I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to reach down and I'm going to whisper in her ear, okay, girl, let's fly. Thank you.
Tim grew up here in Arizona and spent his time exploring, riding, hiking, and camping all over the state. Much of his adult career was in the outdoor education field, leading nonprofits that offered trauma recovery, outdoor adventure camps for impoverished and abused kids, foster families, women survivors of human trafficking, as well as veterans recovering from PTSD. So, but wait, there's more. Tim holds certificates in equine-assisted therapy, horsemanship instruction, overnight horseback wilderness guiding, open water lifeguarding, swift water rescue, as well as high ropes course and zip line management. But wait, there's more. Tim currently is the financial business manager for the Charlotte Hall Museum. He lives in PV, where he spends as much time as possible with his 8 favorite beings on the planet. His wife of 40 years, his daughter, 4 horses, 2 dogs, not necessarily in that order. Those are his words, not mine. So I'm just bringing that out. So there you go. Tim Magill. So what'd you think? I thought it was pretty good myself. So we hope you enjoyed the program.